We talk a lot about getting a better night's sleep, but falling asleep is only part of the equation. Waking up in the morning is part of our sleep cycle, and waking up is often hard to do. We may wake up tired, or we may lack the willpower to get out of our comfortable bed. And some people don't want to get up to avoid something, even going to work or school. Regardless of the reason, waking up is often a challenge. But luckily, there are some things we can do to make getting up a little bit easier, even if we wake up tired. So today, I'm going over 6 tips for how to get out of bed in the morning. Hey everyone, my name is Matthew, and welcome to Calm Insomniac, where we're a community of people trying to get a better night's sleep. If you enjoy learning about sleep health, sleep tips, and relaxing classical music, then please subscribe with notifications on. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, as it greatly helps out the channel. Let's first explain why we wake up tired. And since waking up tired is arguably the biggest reason why people don't want to get up in the morning, this will be my main focus. I have a previous video which discusses this topic in depth, and you can check that out right over here. But let's quickly review. Waking up tired is common and can happen for several reasons. The most obvious reason is due to a poor night's sleep. This could mean not getting enough sleep, having trouble staying asleep, or not achieving quality sleep. And this could happen because of lifestyle choices, stress, or even a sleep disorder. But sometimes we wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. Our morning grogginess is scientifically referred to as sleep inertia. Sleep inertia occurs when we wake up during the transition from sleep to wakefulness. And sleep inertia is so common that it is often considered the third process of sleep regulation. In other words, when we wake up tired, our body has a strong desire to return to sleep. This is controlled by our body's sleep-wake homeostasis, the process that controls our desire to sleep. This process works hand in hand with our circadian rhythm, which is our body's internal clock. This is why getting up in the morning can be so physically difficult. Add the psychological difficulty of not wanting to get up, and our day can start very poorly. Before we discuss our tips for getting up in the morning, I want to explain how I chose these tips. First, these tips were chosen regardless if you wake up tired or lack the willpower to get up in the morning, because I wanted these tips to be as universal as possible. Second, I'm not including tips that address fixing poor sleep. That means I'm not explaining how to relax the night before or stay asleep for longer. These tips are purely for waking up in the morning regardless of the previous night or your previous night's sleep. And finally, these tips were chosen because they promote a healthy sleep cycle. So that means even if you don't wake up tired, these are still great tips because they promote body regulation and maintaining your sleep cycle. So let's start with our first tip, which is to force yourself to get out of bed. Now, I know this seems obvious, but this is where most people incorrectly start their day. Whatever the reason, staying in bed is extremely tempting. But staying in bed even just a couple of extra minutes is a bad idea. Have you ever woken up, stayed in bed a few minutes, and then realized you fell back asleep? This is because our body wants to return to sleep, and staying in bed gives us the opportunity. Instead, force yourself to get up and out of bed. It doesn't matter how tired you are or how little you want to move, you have to force yourself. This is like quitting something cold turkey. It's going to feel terrible, but you know it's good for you. Whenever I force myself to get out of bed, I notice it only takes a few minutes for me to feel awake. Now, true, those first few minutes feel pretty brutal, but once I get up and out of bed, this tells my body that now it's time to be awake. Our next tip is all about alarm clock placement, and this goes along with our first tip. We can be strategic about where we place our alarm, and whether you use an actual alarm clock or the alarm on your phone, this can make a huge difference. Most people keep their alarm clock right next to their bed. This is convenient and makes it easy to quickly turn off. But keeping our alarm easily accessible has its downsides. If we can reach our alarm from our bed, we're too tempted to hit the snooze button and stay in bed. Before you know it, you may have stayed in bed an extra 30 minutes. And as I previously mentioned, our body wants to return to sleep. So shutting off our alarm from bed means that we are more likely to just stay in bed. Instead, keep your alarm clock out of arm's reach. It should be far enough away that you have to actually get out of bed to turn it off. Physically getting out of bed will force you awake, and if you have to walk across the room to shut off your alarm, you're much less tempted to hit the snooze button and then get back into bed. And if you place your alarm farther away from you, this might mean that you need a louder alarm to wake you up. Now, I'm not saying a louder alarm is better, but that will certainly jolt you awake. Our next tip is to expose yourself to light. Our circadian rhythm tells us not only when to sleep, but also when to be awake. Our circadian rhythm is controlled by the light-dark cycle of the world around us. So when it's light out during the day, we usually feel awake, and when it's dark at night, we usually feel sleepy. I've previously mentioned how we need to limit our exposure to light at night, and this is true, but it turns out the reverse is true as well. If we want to wake up in the morning, we need to expose ourselves to light. So as soon as we wake up, open our curtains. Daylight is the best for us. However, if you wake up before the sunrise, then just turn on a light. Even though daylight is best, any exposure to light will work for us. Immediately exposing ourselves to light tells our circadian rhythm that it's time to wake up, and this will make our body act accordingly. Our next tip is to splash your face with cold water. This is a classic tip for getting up in the morning, and like the other tips on this list, it does require that you have the willpower to actually force yourself out of bed. Splashing your face with cold water will shock your system. In fact, a cold water face splash technically acts as a stimulant, giving you a similar effect to that of consuming caffeine. And even though the effects of this aren't as long-lasting as caffeine, this will at least initially wake you up. Notice though that I'm not recommending taking a cold shower. Now if you want to take a cold shower, then great, go ahead, but I personally don't want to suffer that much. Splashing just your face with cold water will give you the results we're looking for. Our next tip is to plan something enjoyable. Unlike the other tips on this list, this tip is psychological and not physical. The idea here is we want to plan something enjoyable for right after we wake up, and doing this will give us a reason to get up and something to look forward to. Some people enjoy exercising first thing in the morning, and this is a great choice because exercising will certainly wake you up. Others prefer to cook a favorite breakfast. It doesn't matter what activity it is, as long as it's something you enjoy and will give you a reason to get out of bed. And that's the key. We need a reason to get out of bed. If you aren't looking forward to going to work or school, then planning an enjoyable activity before work or school can make your day start a whole lot better. And yes, I realize this is a lot of mental trickery, but our psychological health is just as important as our physical health, and we want to try to wake up as happy as possible. And our final tip is to eat breakfast. Now I know that eating breakfast is somewhat of a controversial topic. Some people have to eat breakfast and others refuse to eat breakfast, and it's a bit surprising how heated this argument can get. I personally have switched back and forth between eating breakfast and not eating breakfast, even though breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I personally have never noticed much of a difference in my ability to wake up, but there are some reasons why you might want to consider eating breakfast. Eating breakfast initiates our metabolism. Our metabolism is a process that heats our body. This is why it's recommended to avoid eating too close to bed, because we want to lower our body temperature for sleep. But in the morning to wake up, we want to slightly raise our body temperature. And another reason to eat breakfast is that it improves our focus. Now, this benefit may not be experienced right away, but if you commute to work or school, you will certainly notice this benefit by the time you arrive. In fact, stimulating our mental capacities is another way that we can improve our ability to wake up in the morning. Alright, those are 6 tips for how to get out of bed in the morning. Waking up in the morning is undeniably difficult, and most people don't want to get up, whether for good or bad reasons. But keeping our circadian rhythm intact is crucial, and if we remember that waking up is part of our sleep cycle, this will increase the importance of the fact that we need to actually get out of bed in the morning. Let me know in the comments below, what do you do when you just can't get out of bed in the morning? Is there something that works for you, or is it as simple as just forcing yourself out of bed? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Pinterest, check out my website, and join my email list. All of those links are down below. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more sleep tips, then definitely check out this playlist right over here. And if you missed my last video where I discussed the sleep benefits of taking a shower at night, then check out this video down over here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.